What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Ford vs. Ferrari, directed by James Mangold, starring Matt Damon and Christian Bale. Ford vs. Ferrari tells the story about how the Ford Motor Company attempted to create the world's fastest car in order to take on Enzo Ferrari at the 24-hour Le Mans car race in France. So that's the general plot of the movie. Let's actually talk about it. I thought that this movie was excellent. James Mangold has really doubled down as being one of my favorite directors working today. Not just because I love the Wolverine and Logan so much, but I also like the movie like Walk the Line. James Mangold knows how to just create the most interesting stories, and he knows how to create really, really interesting characters. And this movie is really no exception. This movie is carried by Matt Damon and Christian Bale. They give excellent performances. Matt Damon as Carroll Shelby, he's fantastic in the role. Carroll Shelby is this former race car driver who, after suffering from a heart attack, is now a mechanic. Is basically now a mechanic, and he is friends with Ken Mills, who is this who is a mechanic himself, but he's also a struggling mechanic, but he's also an experienced race car driver. So when the Ford company approaches the Matt Damon character to try and create the world's fastest car, he goes to Ken Mills because Ken Mills has a vast knowledge of motors and cars himself. And the what I really like about this movie is the relationship between Shelby and Mills. Damon and Bale play these two characters as if they have been friends and colleagues for many, many years. Their chemistry on screen with one another is just so natural and just so real. And they have a lot of really good moments with one another. They have a lot of good humorous moments with one another as well. There's particularly this one scene where they get into a scuffle in the outside of Mills's house, and I love how the wife, Mills's wife, just pulls up a long chair, sits down, and reads the paper. It gives the impression that it's like these two are at it again. I love it. I think it's great stuff, and they also have some other good moments as well too, where they're just like constantly throwing jabs at one another. It's a great. It's their chemistry with one another is fantastic. Their characters are really really fun, particularly that of the character of Ken Mills. I thought that Christian Bale as Mills, he delivers a lot of really really. His character is this like this British born driver, and Christian Bale gives him a very likable personality, and I just love the sense of humor that Bale gives the Mills character, and he also balances it out with the dramatic aspects as well. So, Damon and Bale as the co-leads, ace it. They are fantastic in this movie. Now, that's not to take away from a supporting cast, a very strong supporting cast that includes Josh Lucas and John Bernthal. I thought they were great in their roles as well, particularly that of Josh Lucas, who plays this character of Theo, who is kind of more or less the antagonist of this picture. And Josh Lucas just plays a really good dickhead of a character. And on the flip side, you got John Bernthal who's playing Lee Iacocca, who is more likable than Theo, and he's more supportive of Shelby and of Mills. And I like how Lee Iacocca and the Leo character, they have like a they're those two characters kind of in a way kind of parallel Damon and Bale a little bit. So I like how Mangold handles that as well. Uh, the production value of this movie is fantastic. James Mangold captures that 60s aesthetic to perfection, from the wardrobe to the costumes to just the era itself. This movie looks authentic. The writing in this movie, very, very, very strong. This is a very captivating story about how these two men wanted to create the world's fastest car for the Ford Motor Company and get Ford that win at the Le Mans France, because Ford, of course, has a history of losing to the Ferrari company. So this was the year for them to get the win. And what I love about this movie is seeing the trials and tribulations of Shelby and Mills trying to create this car. And we and we see them triumph, we see them fail until they finally get it right. And it's a fun watch to see. Just seeing how they create these vehicles, how they test out the vehicles as well, until we finally get to the Le Mans, the 24-hour Le Mans race. And this is where James Mangold really, really shines. The racing scenes in this movie are really well directed. They're tightly directed. They're full of suspense. They're very, very captivating, and they're kind of at the edge of your seat because you don't know what's going to happen. And again, that all goes back to James Mangold as a director and a storyteller. He knows how to captivate the audience, and the racing scenes in this movies are awesome. They are so well done. They're so exciting, and you have actors like Christian, and you have an actor like Christian Bale, who is selling it his ass off to try and make it look as authentic as possible, and you believe it because Christian Bale is that dedicated and that awesome as an actor. Mm. So yeah, all that stuff is great, great stuff. Now, whew, oh, let me catch my breath a little bit. So, actually, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about Ford vs Ferrari. I mean, there's a lot more I want to. There's a lot more to talk about this movie. There's a lot more to talk about with this movie, but those are just my general bare bones thoughts on this movie. As you can tell, I love this movie. I thought it was great. The acting is top notch. The directing is fantastic. The production value is outstanding. The action sequences are so tightly done and so well done. They're tightly directed, full of suspense, and they're very just fun to watch. And also, I like the ending of this movie as well, where even though Mills lost the race, he gained something a little bit. He gained something more. He was able to have one last ride, so to speak. And I like how the movie pretty much ends with the death of Ken Mills. When he and Shelby are testing out a new car, of course the brakes go out and Mills is tragically killed. I like that the movie actually showed that a little bit, and they actually showed a little bit of the aftermath. Now I would have done that 10 minutes prior, before the end of the movie, just to like let the his death kind of breathe out a little bit and see how all the other characters react to it. That's what I would have done a little bit. I think it feels a little bit really rushed because it happens in like the last 5 minutes of the movie. I would have done it maybe 5 minutes earlier to kind of let it breathe a little bit instead of having it feel a little bit rushed. But that's just me personally what I would have done. But that does not take away from an excellent movie with excellent storytelling, excellent acting, and just a captivating just story that just glues you right in, and you're on the edge of your seat from start to finish. This movie has got a good sense. It's got a good humor to it. It's got good pacing. You're never bored watching it. Anyway, like I said, those are my thoughts on Ford vs Ferrari. I'm going to give it a perfect 10. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.